It's interesting that high schools were much more than elementary schools were always very interested in testing. And I used to question regularly, why do you have all this testing? Well, we have to get them ready for university. And yet we had a policy in Ontario that if you got 70 or 75%, you were exempt from the examinations, which is, of course, the ones that were going on in university. And those that weren't going on in university had to do the tests. It didn't make a lot of sense, but nobody ever seemed to think that that was rather silly. Also, I asked Clint Davis on one occasion if he would examine the tests that were given in the first semester. So we took a copy of each examination the first semester of all the high schools, and he examined them, and he came to the conclusion that they were endurance tests rather than tests of learning. And he thought that, where they asked 6 questions, 2 would have done very nicely, and most of the testing was at the very lowest level of recall, and very seldom did it get into the other levels that we've all learned about drawing conclusions and so on too. But I used to have fun going around and going to staff meetings, and we would discuss this, and I would say to the people, why do you put this value on this test? Was it the test? Well, it was very important because, once again, they had to get ready for university, and it was the real world. And I said, no, it really wasn't the real world. If I have a brain tumor, I'm going to tell the surgeon that he can bring his friends with him and his textbooks and all the help he needs, and if I walk away, he passes. But so I said to one of the fellows one time, I said, if a young man came in on the second day of school and said, sir, I want to do the final exam in math, would you let him? Well, he wasn't too sure. I said, but if you let him do it and he got 100, does he pass? Is he finished for the year? Well, there was no answer to that. Obviously, if you take something like a test which is valuable and you turn it into something which is magical or something far beyond teaching even, then you're in trouble. If you use a test for what its purpose is to find out what next you need to learn, then that's fine. I mean, we've done that for years. But you can't use tests or children's scores to rate a teacher or a school board or anything. I encourage parents to keep their kids home on testing days. And I don't mean the kids that won't do very well. I find it kind of upsetting that children who are in special education are the first ones denied access to school on snow days and so on, the very kids that want to be there, who don't have an opportunity to interact very much. But some parents are getting very wise and saying, what's happened to the art and the music and the things that matter and the field trips and these things that supposedly waste time. They've forgotten what an education is about, And I think the biggest threat to any child's education today, and certainly to kids with disabilities, is testing. Testing is a block to growth. There's no question about it at all.